Welcome to Botanica month 3. I'm sorry it took me a while to get these out, but let's go ahead and get started. So this month we are doing the trees, the trendy trees that you've gotten. I will go ahead and send out an email link with all the documents that you need in case you're not sure with them, but we are doing trendy trees. And the exciting thing is it has been quite a bit of time since we've done our previous video, but now I can show you the completed quilt on the wall. So this is the block that we are going to be focusing on for this specific video. So let's get started. So I'm kind of down to my scraps now since I've already completed one version of the quilt. But just so you have for review, you should have the floral fabric with the background in navy, this color for the sides of the background. This is going to be an accent color, and an accent color. In addition, as I've mentioned in other videos, I like to use piece and stitch. Because it is a nice tearaway, but it also washes away over time, and I don't want stabilizer in my quilt once it's gone through a few washings. And then of course my background fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and hoop things up, and I'll check back in with you. Okay, so I have hooped up my stabilizer and I've got my design loaded in. Now, so for purposes of this video tutorial, I am using the smallest size we can go, which is size C. So remember, when you go from month to month, you do have to stay with the same letter. So if you did size B for month 1 and B for month 2, you have to do size B for month 3 in order for everything to come together. For this tutorial though, I'm going to be using size C. So that is perfect. If your max hoop size is a 6x9, you should be able to do this entire block of the month using up to size C. All right, so I've got my design loaded up. When you're in the edit screen, you shouldn't need to make any changes whatsoever. So we're just going to go straight over to embroidery. And remember, I am using neon thread so that you at home can easily see what's going to get stitched out. So let's go ahead and get started. This first stitch is just going to tell me where to lay down that batting. Okay, and as we've discussed in previous months, I like to line it up as close as I can to these two lines so I don't have to cut those off again. And we're going to go ahead and do the next round. Okay, I'm going to remove this so I can cut away the excess batting. And remember, whenever you remove this, don't ever cut on the side of the table or on your knee. Take your frame to a flat surface and cut it off. All right, let's return this back to the machine now. Okay, now it's going to show us where to put our next color. And again, I'm using neon thread so you can see easily. You'll want to use a color that's going to blend more in. I'd recommend a black color would be really good for this. So this one right here is our accent pink. I'm going to get a small piece of that. And as you can see, you don't need very much. And don't forget, we're going to cut off everything, but always remember to leave at least an inch or two right here of excess fabric so we can cut out the block later. All right, so this next piece, I've already outlined where it's going to go, and it's going to be this floral piece. Now, you have a few options. You can just kind of put it down and just see what happens, but you may want to highlight a specific area of the fabric instead of maybe one of these blender areas. And in this particular case, I really like this flower. So I can see it when it's upside down. So I'm going to line up that flower upside down right here. And make sure, just kind of take the time that it lines up where I want it. Okay. And I'm going to stitch that down. And this is our stitch and flip method that we use. So now I'm going to cut away this excess and then flip over my fabric. And this is where you can get a little bit artistic with everything. Just make it look a little bit nicer. Don't forget you're going to need that 2-inch excess, so you'll notice I'm cutting very far below the line. And so now I can flip this over, and that will be what will show up in that area. Looks real nice. Okay, and let's go attach that down. So it's good practice that after you do this, you do trim away your excess. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to do this side. Okay, we've gotten down our 2 floral accents that go to the left. So the next thing we're going to do is the piece above it. So the first thing it does, it's going to map that out. And for this one, we're going to be using the wavy fabric. So I'm going to lay that down. Now for a lot of these internal pieces, you do not need to leave this extra, so we're going to trim this all down to get rid of the excess. We leave this so we can cut out our block later, but here we don't need any of this excess. So on this one, you'll want to make sure you use that, you keep that 2-inch above because we are at the edge. Again, we're still using the stitch and flip method, so make sure you have a good long piece. And then remember, you're at the edge, so you want to leave that extra here and here. We're only going to cut along here. Okay, so we're close to the edge again, so make sure you leave this. We're only going to cut on those internal lines. And with this one, you just want to make sure you get a long enough piece. I'm kind of having to pull this down, so I'm going to cut a little after I do this line, because you only need 1/4 inch to the left of the line. So I'm going to trim this down because this is too much to have over here before I flip. And I don't want to trim to the line, I just want to trim off about 1/4 inch from the line. Then we'll flip and we'll do the last part on this side of the square. Okay, see, there's nothing on the inside to cut, it's all on the outside. So we just do one giant rough cut. So now we're going to work on this side and then we'll be done. Okay, so now that I've finished, I'm actually not going to trim this away because now we're going to do the final trimming of the block. So we're going to remove it completely from the hoop. We want to give this a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm lining that up to my outer line and then cutting all 4 sides. And then I like to give it one good press. Okay, and then go back over here. And then what I do is I just take my time and this is one of the reasons I like this stabilizer. It does tear away rather easily. So I like to remove as much of the stabilizer as I can. So for this particular month, I would continue this on. So I'm going to just go ahead and, you don't want to see me tearing away stabilizer this whole time. So for this particular month, you're going to be doing 5 of these Trendy Tree blocks, and then that will bring you to the end of this particular month's block of the month. All right, we'll see you next month.